Welcome viewers to Historical Journeys. Toward the beginning of September 1969, an extraordinary archaeological find was made in the town of Arose after Russia to Celski, locale Kemerovo district in the nearby coal mineshaft. In the coal crease had a profundity of in excess of 70 meters underground. The miner vehicle knockoff, who later kicked the bucket under the wheels of a cruiser, found a long marble stone coffin, shockingly exact, and finally created by request of Aleksandr Aleksandrovich, masala pearl passed on in 1980. The authority adaptation was stomach ulcer. All work in the brain was quickly halted. The stone coffin was lifted to the surface and started to open it, eliminating the fossilized seal around the edges. Not such a huge amount from the strain, however, from the intensity of the sun. This unique fixing compound continuously transformed into a reasonable fluid. One of the laborers even tasted it on his tongue. He went off the deep end for a week and afterward froze at the entryway of his home in February. The cover of the casket fit impeccably into the 15 centimeters thick walls, yet the actual initial was a genuine shock to all spectators. The stone coffin was filled to the edge with a pinkish blue, perfectly clear fluid under which lay a tall, around 180 centimeters, thin lady of unprecedented excellence, around 30 years of age, with fine European elements and enormous, completely open blue eyes. Thick, dim, earthy colored twists with a ruddy hint contacted her midsection, and fragile white hands with short, conveniently managed fingernails lay freely along her body. She was wearing a snow-white trim dress straightforward just underneath her knees with short sleeves weaved with beautiful blossoms. She wore nothing else. She didn't appear to be dead, yet sleeping. The top of the stone casket actually contained a dark rectangular round metal box estimating around 25 centimeters by 10 centimeters. The stone coffin was available to the general population from around 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the whole town came to see the supernatural occurrence. The disclosure was quickly answered to the region town too. Firemen, the military and the police showed up. A helicopter flew in and a gathering of men in regular citizen garments arose who said the spot was infectious and requested those present to leave the grave. Then they cordoned off the site and recorded every individual who had contacted the casket and the people who were standing close by, apparently for a dire clinical assessment. They attempted to stack the stone coffin into the helicopter, yet the weight was excessively weighty, so they chose to eliminate the fluid. In any case, when the fluid was siphoned out, the body started to become dark before their eyes, so the fluid was promptly returned to and the obscurity immediately vanished. After a second, the woman's cheeks become flushed and her whole body recovered its unique appearance. The stone casket was fixed and moved to the helicopter, alongside the remainder of the mastic in a cellophane pack. Then, at that point, they requested individuals to scatter. The helicopter took off and vanished toward Nevasa explodes. After some time, an old teacher came to his storage room from the Vasaburs, who gave a talk in the town club about the primer consequences of lab research. He said that this disclosure would essentially change the whole comprehension of history. Sooner rather than later, Soviet researchers would distribute their discoveries, and it would cause a shock in the logical world. The obscure lady, as per the teacher, was covered quite a while back, and this is a significant break and Darwin's hypothesis. The lady was covered in the old Paleolithic in Carboniferous times, a long period of time before the dinosaurs, well before the development of hard coal, when by present-day ideas there was a plant realm on the planet. Initially, the casket remained in a wooden vault of a profound woodland brush. Throughout the long term, the vault alongside all the encompassing plants sank into the ground, and a solid coal crease existed without admittance to oxygen for countless years. At first, an extraterrestrial variant of the woman's beginning was validated. However, hereditary investigation of the body showed a 100 coordinate with current Russian man. Today we are the very same as our precursors a long period of time prior. Nonetheless, the degree of civilization to which the lady has a place outperforms everything known, including our own, in light of the fact that, for instance, The idea of the texture from which your dress was sewn isn't open to any cutting-edge logical examination. In 1973, when the specialists thought things had quieted down, the broad summer unearthings were led on the shores and islands of Lake Vertical, which extends just 6 kilometers from the site of the stone casket revelation all through the mid-year until pre-winter. The site was encircled by warriors and police. One of the laborers engaged with the unearthings, however in a tipsy state, said that a few old graveyards, perhaps of the Stone Age, had been found on the islands. Valid, he would not share the subtleties, yet individuals had seen both the unearthings and the block-hued helicopter. Neighborhood occupants knew just something single: they had found Stone Age graves. The writer who expounded on this find unexpectedly returned and said that he had endured on account of this distribution, was oppressed by the FSB, nearly kicked the bucket, and had to stop his editorial exercises. Consequently, one of the focal stations told about the Tisul find. And the film. The television journalists added to additional stone coffins viewed as invertical. Genuine, the age of the finds has dropped from 800 million years to 200 million years. Be that as it may, generally speaking, the story stayed unaltered. The difficulty is that there was not an expression of truth in it. Regardless, no impacting tasks could be completed at the coal mineshaft in 1969, on the grounds that rather than the mine was an open pit and coal was not mined there on a modern scale for a very long time. There are no islands on Lake Birch Nickel, no hills around the lake, which was supposedly dove in 1973. Be that as it may, there are mountains and a burial ground of the Stone Age close to the town of Rose after the Stone Age is restricted to a long time back. No princess might have made do in the most dependable stone casket for so many years, and positively couldn't be ethnically Russian. There was no hereditary skill in 1969. Furthermore, there couldn't be. Notwithstanding, columnists essentially uncovered the distributions of the 70s of the last 100 years about the disclosure of the Tisul Princess and reproduced nearly without changing the style, yet consolidating current realities from the various notes of that time into a sort of bound-together entirety. And afterward, the data about the secretive ancient rarity in the distributions didn't head inside. In the first place, the spot of the regard itself is different. Second, the individual who found the stone casket changed. Third, it is obscure what befallen the casket and to the fluid, yet it finished the same way the princess was stacked and removed. Nearby inhabitants with whom proficient writers attempted to talk after the distribution couldn't remember a solitary archaeological track down that in any capacity whatsoever looked like the narrative of the stone coffin. As a matter of fact, very honest observers depicted a few open graves with the dead that seemed to be the living. The most popular in a progression of these records is the revelation in the medieval times during work on the Appian method of the burial chamber of Marcus Tullius. Cicero's girl, the young lady's final resting place, was loaded up with clear treating liquid, and she, when all is said and done, laid down with a blush on her cheeks and impeccably safeguarded clothing, and at the foot of the burial place was lit by an everlasting light. In any case, when natural air entered the burial place, the light went out. The terrified middle-aged individuals quickly shut the burial place. Other comparative cases are likewise known. Writers told that delightful young ladies were in some cases hauled out of the burial chambers and attempted to awaken them. Once in the air, the bodies started to become dark and disintegrate. Archaeologists as well are now and then fortunate enough to make a surprising disclosure. In 1971, Chinese scientists found a burial place in Hunan territory. Inside was the mummy of an honorable Chinese lady, sheens up impeccably saved right up to the present day. It had lain in for settled stone caskets under thick layers of coal and dirt for a considerable length of time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more.